11th pick, the Miami Dolphins select
What's up? Welcome in, NFL and Dolphin fans, to 2026 NFL Combine, officially underway in Indianapolis. And today we're going to break down, among other things, the top 10 Miami Dolphins target list, watch list at the Combine as we head into the draft. Ryan Roberts, NFL draft and college football analyst from A to Z Sports, is joining us live from Indy. He's got boots on the ground, insight from the Combine workouts. We've got the draft risers, prospects the Dolphins fans should keep their eye on 11 and beyond. We're going to react to some day one workouts. It was a fun group, Edge. We'll talk the Edge group, the linebacker group. And again, like I said, we're going to be then revealing our full top 10 Dolphins Combine watch list. So let's get into it. Let's dive into War Room. Of course, I'm joined, as always, by my co-host and co-pilot, Jason Sarney. And as mentioned, Ryan Roberts from A to Z Sports. Fellas, thank you. Jason, how you doing?
Doing good. A lot of appreciation and at the same time jealousy that Ryan Roberts is both in Indy and going to St. Elmo tonight. So we're going to get right into it, Ryan. Really appreciate you being here. Before we go directly into the Combine, give us your quick thoughts about the new Dolphins regime and how you think it's going to shape draft strategy.
I think it is – I'm excited about the new general manager, obviously, with his roots. And I think that foundationally there's going to be a little bit of a – ideological shifts for just kind of how you are going to build rosters, right? Like I feel like the Dolphins over the last few years, and obviously you guys have covered a lot more, they kind of go for more of the flash at times, right? And some of these big signings and guys that they're super excited about, right? But when John Eric Sullivan, like how he has built it traditionally is he's a drafts, develop, retain type of guy. At least that's ideologically where he comes from, right? So I think that there's going to be a huge attention to the draft. What happens next in terms of, just how good the new head coach is as a head coach. He's a great defensive coordinator. I have no idea, but I do think that there's fresh ideas. And I also like that you are head coach, general manager coming in together, attached by the hip. I think with the Chris Greer over the last couple of years with Mike McDaniel and even before that, it's like it felt like Chris Greer got the longer leash. Some of the head coaches maybe got the shorter leash, and it felt disjointed. I think that needs to be an equal partnership in order for a team to be truly successful. So if I'm a Dolphins fan, it might be a little bit rough going into the 2026 season, just kind of building this roster up. But I do think there's optimism for the future because I think this new regime is going to try to build it slowly and build it the right way so that you eventually have hopefully a sustainable product.
Yeah,
love it. Totally
we couldn't agree more. We're excited about it. I think they got a type, and I think Dolphin fans were used to the Chris Greer philosophy. I think we got to. I was telling my brother today, we got to kind of open our eyes here to more options because it's a little different in the building. But quickly, and shout out to the chat, everybody in the chat's loving you, Ryan. Thank you guys so much. Ryan, there's a lot of buzz. You mentioned St. Elmo's, Jason. There's a lot of talking around there. Have you heard any Dolphin related stuff there? I know there's a lot of information. I mean, have you heard any buzz about the Dolphins of anything?
Not a crazy amount yet. I mean, it's day one. So, I mean, I went to Harry and Izzy's, which is a different steakhouse yesterday. I got a St. Elmo's dinner tonight. I got another one tomorrow. So, like, over the next couple of days, there's going to be a lot of opportunities to hit a couple of the bars that everybody goes to and just kind of hear everything. It really is the best opportunity to gain as much early information as possible, though, because this is, like, the Senior Bowl is great, East-West Shrine's great, but, like, the Indianapolis is the spot where you have every decision maker, well, except if you're the Rams, I guess, or the Jacksonville Jaguars now. But in theory, you have all the head coaches, you have all the coaches, you have all the decision makers, you have all the agents, you have all the players, you have all the media, all under one roof, which makes it a very unique opportunity. So nothing crazy yet, but maybe if you guys check in with a couple days, there might be a couple little tidbits that maybe we could share.
All right, so let's bring it on the field here because day one of the workouts, fun group. The edge, the defensive lineman, fast group, the interior guys, the edge group, I mean, this was a fun day one. Obviously, it's the Sonny Styles, Arvell Reese, David Bailey show. What kind of, you're there, you're live. What stood out to you in person, man? What anything surprised you? Anything? What did you like?
We were, so it was funny. I was hanging out with a couple of A to Z members, and including like Kyle Krabs earlier, where we were just talking about like the shifts we've seen of Travis May has kind of built out some like measurements that are, it's similar to like an RAS type of feel in terms of like really truly understanding how athletic some groups are. And linebacker's been one that has just shifted so much, because like when we were younger, it was like you had a 250, 260 pound middle linebacker, right? Like that was not, you have LaVon Kirkland, like, you know what I mean? Like those guys were a thing, right? Now it's so different because, I mean, Arvell Reese and Sonny Styles are both over 240 pounds, but we have a lot of guys that are between 228 and 236 now that are the true inside linebackers now. So we've seen a huge shift, but with that shift, we have some of the most dynamic athletes that we will see on this earth. I mean, the fact that Arvell Reese, who is only a one-year starter also in Ohio State, I think people forget that a little bit, at 6'4", 240 plus pounds, runs a 4.46, and then Sonny Styles has the highest vertical that we have ever seen of a player of his frame and body type, right? 43.5 inches. They were literally on the TV, because I know you guys are probably watching, and they're comparing his numbers to Calvin Johnson, because there's just no other guys to compare those numbers to, right? So it has just been, it's been crazy to see just the ascension of athlete at the linebacker position, especially. And then of course you get to see David Bailey run 4.5 flat at 251 pounds. So just the greatest thing about this for me, guys, is like you get to just kind of sit back and just marvel at the evolution of the modern athlete, and certainly pretty impressive day for some of these defensive linemen and linebackers for sure.
Yeah, you said highest jump of any linebacker.
Yes.
Is 99. Tied for the 15th highest jump at any position, and the only player since 1999 jump over 43 inches, weighing over 240 pounds. I mean,
wild.
Great.
Yep,
great.
Absolutely.
Reese is interesting, because do you think Bailey cemented himself as edge one? And Reese, where do you like him? Off ball, edge? Like that matters, right? Like there are some questions there just on those top guys.
So for me, if I could start with Reese first, I actually kind of find it a little bit strange, the people that are just kind of dead set that he is just an edge on the next level, because every time I watch him, I think that he's a damn good inside linebacker. Like, I think that he can. And I understand that there was this positional value conversation of like what an edge is worth versus a linebacker. Like, I totally understand that, the merits of that conversation. But for me, when I watch that guy, I'm like, that is a first and second down inside linebacker who on third down, I can get super versatile with how I'm using it. I can blitz it from interior gaps. I can work him off the edge if I feel like that's something that I want to do. So I want to utilize every part of Arvell Reese. I don't want to use one part of Arvell Reese, because we saw at Ohio State this year, in the first half of the year, when he was used as an attack style player, get downhill, blitz for multiple spots, he was the best player in college football, arguably, for several weeks. But in the second half of the year, for whatever reason, Matt Patricia said, I want to change things up and I want to make him a little bit more of a read and react player. Well, I think that discredited just the impact that he has. So he's a linebacker to me who can play edge if you want him to play edge, but I would like to be just versatile with him. So I really think that he is a player that is he's going to, in my opinion, be all over the place on boards. Like, some teams are going to have him a linebacker, some are going to have him as edge. I know a couple teams that have him rated as both on different boards, right? So as linebacker and an edge. So just a diverse player. Bailey's interesting because it's going to come down to style that you want in the conversation of Ruben Bain. Like, are you looking for the speed, the power converts that's a really good run defender? Or do you want the guy that's the true outside track pass rusher that has more explosiveness off the line? Like, that's what it's going to come down to. I certainly think that there is some merits to, especially after the Jets traded Jermaine Johnson, move into like more of a 3-4 look. I do think that David Bailey is a cleaner fit than what Ruben Bain would potentially fit in that system. But I think that conversation is going to be neck and neck from here until April in terms of which pass rusher you prefer out of the two.
That really leads in beautifully to a follow-up question, sticking on the edge into the versatility and whether you want a more of a pass rusher or a run stopper. Talk to me about what your thoughts are on Keldrick Falk. He's a guy that I like. Now, I'm not going crazy and pounding the table at 11 for Miami. I wouldn't be surprised if they get him, but if they happen to move back into the teens and early 20s and land him, I think it's a grand slam. I think he's going to be a hell of a football player. What do you notice from him today?
I think people have kind of like soured a little bit on Keldrick Falk just because he had down year production, obviously, but I do think there's a lot of context there. I think Auburn misused him a lot, and I know I understand that he's a bigger body type, so he's a guy that can play inside and out to a degree, but like I think that he's a guy that just needed to kind of play one spot a little bit more and just kind of really take advantage of his athleticism and overall upside. So I do think that he has a lot of meat left on the bone, and he's young, man. Like, he's 21 years old. You know what I mean? Like, I think some people have the assumption that Keldrick Falk is what he is, and that's what he'll always be, but in reality, he's got a lot of developmental track in front of him for sure. Weighed in at about, I think he was like 276 pounds, if I remember correctly, so he cut a little bit of weight. He was more in like the 285 range this year at Auburn. I think the interesting part of him is, obviously, didn't test. He chose to just do the on-field drills, but like I thought he actually looked pretty smooth. I know some people thought he looked a little tight, but I overall thought he looked pretty smooth, and I do think the NFL, just generally speaking, is higher on Falk than some people, so I think Falk's best football is in front of him, though, and if you are a team that utilizes a big end that on third downs you can move him inside as a rush from more reduced alignments, I think that there's a lot of merits and a lot of upside for what Falk can bring to the table.
Yeah,
works for me.
Yeah,
works for me.
Yeah, the same thing we said about Falk is little Calais Campbell there. Think of if you put 20 pounds on him, move him inside, how much his value. Because with him, it's the hands, the feet got to follow. The hands are powerful and quick, but sometimes he struggled a little bit in the on-field work on the beginning, but he rebounded well. But another guy I want to talk about real quick is I liked him on tape was Malachi Lawrence, right? Then I seen him work out today. I'm like, ooh, do I got to move him up a little bit? You know what I mean? Like, I liked what I saw. There was a little more juice there than I originally thought. Like, he was impressive.
Yeah, it was 40-inch verts, and he jumped out of the gym. Yep. I mean, and obviously, like, anytime that we're talking about a guy that's a dynamic jumper, usually that translates to the 40 because that's explosiveness off the line. And usually some of these guys, as long as they get great starts, they're going to roll, right? So Malachi Lawrence is a really interesting player because I do think that his tape is a little bit up and down, which is why I think he's probably still more in like that third to fourth round buckets of a defensive end. But I do think that he's a guy that This draft's going to be starved for like secondary pass rushers, especially when we get into day 2. And I think that he has the opportunity with the testing numbers. One lesson that I've learned is don't overreact to testing numbers all the time, right? It's like a verification process, but I do think obviously he helped himself tremendously with the performance he put on in Indianapolis.
I know Jason's going to help, but it's funny. Like, you look at these lists, top performers and all this, and like there's one guy, and the rest of them really didn't make it. When you see a list of like. So it's funny. Shout out to the chat. Everybody make sure you subscribe and hitting that thumbs up. We're here with Ryan Roberts. He's live from Indy. Go ahead, Jason.
So obviously, fun group today. What position groups are you most excited to see the rest of the weekend?
Man, that's a great question. I think for me, I really am interested in seeing the cornerback group this week because I think that there is, obviously with Jermod McCoy and Mansour Delane not testing, I do think there's an opportunity for some guys to really make their mark. I was really impressed by Chris Johnson from San Diego State at his podium today because we had the media availability for the cornerbacks. He really impressed me just from an intellectual perspective, and I like his film. So, like, he has a chance to potentially be a riser. Colton Hood from Tennessee has a chance to rise. Avion Terrell is probably the highest-rated corner now that is testing and will go through, on-field opportunities. So, I think that cornerback group, trying to figure out the hierarchy is going to be super interesting with the top 2 guys out. Who's cornerback 3 for sure? Who's cornerback 4, cornerback 5? How many go in the first round? Like, I think the cornerback group is an interesting one to keep tabs on.
Name that I love there in Chris Johnson. I think he had one of the more ridiculous stats that I saw in college last year. I think when targeted, quarterbacks were rated, I think like 16.5 or something like that. Something unbelievable.
It sounds like not an ideal number, I would say. Not an ideal number.
Not for QBs, but for a guy that I think I read a Quinyon Mitchell comp for Chris Johnson. I might be off there, but I think I might have saw that comp.
The impressive part about him is someone at the media availability asked him and basically said, like, hey, man, I know you played a lot of press man corner. The NFL is kind of going to palms, cover 4, like that type of stuff. Do you think that you could fit there? And his response was basically, he went like super detailed in San Diego State is a cover 4 structure, just stylistically, like from a schematic perspective. We just run a lot of different man and zone concepts. So I just think like that position is one that, especially in today's game with so much match coverage, you need to be intelligent on the back end. So if he goes out there and he tests well and he kind of solidifies the year of tape, I do think that Chris Johnson's a guy that could sneakily be in like the end of the first round conversation, if not very early on early day 2.
And spoiler alert, when we drop the top 10 watches, he may or may not be. Jason keeps dropping the names that may or may not be on there, but he's a
loving the names.
Listen, the thing, he's one of the, to me, when I watch Chris, he's just technically sound. You know, he's really instinctive in zone. I have no problem with that. To me, it's going to be the long speed. When he trails those guys, to me, that's the issue, and that's why he may or may not be on the list. It's important for him to work out and run. All right, so give me this. So you mentioned some of the strengths and weaknesses. Is the edge group the biggest strength of this draft, followed by the wide receivers maybe? What is your the defensive? What is your kind of your strengths and weaknesses of this draft?
I think the 2 strongest groups, in my opinion, and wide receiver has depth, so I think that there's an interesting one. I think edge has depth in this class for sure. I think safety and linebacker are the 2 best in this class. To be honest, I actually think linebacker is the best one when you compare top end talent and the depth of the class, especially. I mean, we didn't even talk about like Caleb Elarms or out of TCU, a guy that I think could steadily go in the top 100. Xavier Sori had a great Senior Bowl out of Arkansas. So like, there's a lot of linebackers from pick top 5 to 6th, 7th round that I do think, and I did not intentionally do the 6th, 7th thing. I promise that was not intentional there. But even to the later stages of the draft, I do think that you can get a guy that could potentially at least play special teams and be a key contributor, and then eventually maybe even a developmental starter in like those mid rounds. But I think that we have high level talent, and then the safety group, starting obviously with Caleb Downs, but like guys throughout, man, like Emmanuel McNeil-Warren and Dylan Thieneman, and you have guys like Kamari Ramsey, who I think could play, Jennison Smith, Traden Stukes. Like, there's so many good safeties in this class that if that's a position you need, I think you're in a good spot here. Very good spot.
Yeah, I'm glad we talked about all the time. There's so many guys. I like Gold Day out of Cincinnati. Anthony Miller, when I watch him, this guy can come in. He ran well today. Trotter going down the list. And linebackers tend to fall. Rodriguez. Yeah, in the safeties. I got like Wheatley out of Penn State. Genesis Smith, who's 6'2". And you hit it on the head. I'm glad because as we do a lot of these mock drafts and we cover the draft, we're like, yeah, we could probably wait on the safety like when the board falls. But, yeah, man, I couldn't agree with you more. The linebacker and safety group.
Absolutely.
So if we're looking at guys who can, shake the board up, maybe, those risers. I mean, obviously a guy like Sonny Styles might have gone from like a team pick to like the top 8 today. But are there other risers and movers and shakers right now that you're either anticipating to watch or you've already seen today?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we talk about the Senior Bowl combined with the performance in Indianapolis, I think Caleb Banks is a guy that's going to continue to kind of just get pushed up the board a little bit, right? As long as his medicals check out, the defensive tackle out of Florida. But I really think that it's the undersized pass rushing interior players that I'm like really intrigued by, especially after today, because we saw like a Caleb Proctor out of Southeast Louisiana who had a big day, Zane Durant, Grayson Holton. I do think there's a lot of like really talented one-gap defensive tackles in this class that I think that in the right situation, in the right system, could end up potentially being starters down the line. So I think it's some of these undersized defensive tackles, because the thing, like guys, for me, like this is a great nose tackle class. There's a lot of great noses, but there's not a lot of great 3 techniques. So I think guys like Holton, Zane Durant, with have the showing that they have, Caleb Proctor, they can start moving up boards because the teams love interior penetrators.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And we're going to talk about risers and shakers. There's one guy I want. Monroe Feeling has a big workout. Is it crazy to say he's a top 15, like make the Zabel jump? I've been on him for a while, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree or disagree with that facial expression, but athletically, if he does what I think he can do, I just think a guy like he could go in the top 20 and even push 15,
Yeah, no, I think so. It's funny when I was watching. So Monroe Freeling, I thought had a kind of up and down first couple games of the season for Georgia, but down the stretch he was really good in my opinion, right? So he's got the 6'7" frame, he's got the 315, he moves incredibly well, he's a former highly recruited kid, so clearly there's a lot of God-given ability there. And I agree with you in the sense of like this is a offensive tackle class that lacks true like elite blindside protectors. There's some really good players, obviously. There's some really good right tackles, especially in this class. I think you can find value throughout. But we're always going to go ape shit for left tackles, and we should as a collective, as a league, right? So I think having a guy that can project favorably to the blind side is important. And at A to Z Sports, we did a collaboration mock draft where one of our writers put Monroe Freeling to the Cleveland Browns at number 6. And at first you're like, that's high, man. Like, that feels really high. But then the more you think about it, you're like, but it kind of makes sense, right? Like, it kind of makes sense, right?
It's not like blue chip. A good thing I was on him earlier. We got a few questions in the chat real quick.
Sure. I'm gonna actually bring one up because that was part of my. No, because this is a question from our guy Daniel. Vega Ioane, Penn State. Interior offensive lineman 11 might be too early for a guard, but let's talk about the player. How good is Ioane, and is he generating any buzz right now?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we haven't gotten a chance to talk to the offensive linemen. They haven't hit the field yet. So, like, from a Senior Bowl perspective, hasn't been much conversation about Vega from this combine perspective, there's been much talk about Vega. But I do think that he's a guy that has just kind of solidified himself. He's mostly in mock drafts in, like, the 20s, right? Like, that's kind of where you see him, like, to, like, the Chargers and, like, teams like that. I think he has a very good chance to go top 20 in this class because, to your points earlier, I do think that this is a not great class at the top, and I think that people are going to kind of push for although interior offensive line and offensive guard specifically is not spots that we generally think is like these priority positions, but he's a stabilizing player, right? Having that type of stabilizing player, I think, offers tremendous upside and a tremendous floor. So I do think that he's a guy that's going to end up going very high at this class.
Very good. Very good to hear. Definitely, has that tough mindset that if, again, the Dolphins want to play in that trade back world and land him late, another home run potentially. But if you want to put the general manager, the Sully hat on for the Dolphins, they got 5 picks in the top 90. What are your thoughts on how they go? Assuming, obviously, they stick at 11, stick at 43, right, 75, and whatnot.
I think 11 is going to be a sweet spot for a corner, just generally speaking. I think it can be, especially, with their Jamad McCoy just kind of figuring out his medicals and Mansour Delane having some long speed concerns. I do think there's a chance that maybe potentially both of those guys are there at 11, so you could have your pick of whoever you deem to be the safety one in this class, right? So I think corner is an interesting one. For the Dolphins, like, I don't really want to force a need if I don't have to force the need because, like, let's be honest, and I'm sure you guys talk about this all the time, the roster's not great right now. So I'm not pressing for, like, need when I just want to take who I deem to be kind of the best player available. So, obviously, with Tyreek Hill out of the door, I think wide receiver is a spot that you're going to look at kind of as a secondary need to, like, Jalen Waddle. Solidifying that interior offensive line, specifically a guard, I think could be a huge area of priority. Interior defensive line, like, there's a lot of spots that I think Miami could look at. Safety, like, there's a lot of spots I think Miami is going to look at to potentially upgrade. But starting at 11, I do think that you could have the potential to get the cornerback one in this class, depending on how things shake out.
Yeah, you talk about BPA. We put it to the test, and it's very hard to go BPA. Let's just say that. Me and Jason, we had a couple almost table flip moments.
Controversial pod there, right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So BPA's on theory it's nice, but need always tends to creep up. We have a couple questions in the chat real quick. I know the chat's very active. Does Jacob Rodriguez make it to the 3rd round? Yes or no, Jordan?
I'll say 3rd round. Right. Yeah, no problem. I would say yes. 3rd round, I think, is kind of the sweet spot for Jacob Rodriguez. I think that some teams view him as more of an early day 3 player. Some view him as a late day 2 player. So I think somewhere in like that 3rd to 4th round bucket is probably when Rodriguez comes off the board. He tested well today. I think he had like a 39-inch vert, like a 4.62 in the 40. So like he tested better than a lot of people expected, which will help him. But I think that just athleticism on the field, I think, is like pretty average on the film, right? So I do think that there's going to be some, like, we're going to go back and look at the tape to see if we missed something, and there's going to be that cross-checking conversation that happens, that verification process that happens. But I really do think that he's a guy that's going to end up probably going somewhere in the 3rd round. I'm not quite there to 2nd round because, as I said before, it's a really deep linebacker class, right? Like, even after Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese, after C.J. Allen, you're talking about guys like Josiah Trotter and Jack Golday and like Jake Golday, like all these guys that are going to kind of be in contention to be that linebacker 5, 6, 7 guy on the pecking order. So I do think that he has a good chance to go somewhere on day 2, but I think that 3rd round is probably the sweet spot, 3rd to 4th.
Yeah, and Lil Pie says, what's the word on Drew Aller? Drew a lot.
I mean, he's throwing, right? So, I mean, we get to see him in action, which is good. Coming back from the foot injury and everything, which, obviously was an abrupt ending to his season. So it's good to see him back healthy and to see him throwing in the combine. I'm curious to see, and we'll hear from him. We'll talk to him, obviously, before he hits the field. But I'm interested to see, just how long he's been cleared to throw and do his different drops and all type of stuff. So it's going to be good just to see him on the field. I don't really have an expectation right now in terms of where I see him fitting into this class. It's going to be somewhere on day 3. It's going to be a day 3 dart throw. Is that 4th round? Is that 6th round? I'm not 100% sure exactly where he comes off the board, but it's going to be good to see him back healthy to a degree at least and be able to throw the football in Indianapolis.
Yeah. Shout out to the chat again. Everybody in the chat live. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you subscribe. Remember, we're 500 away. When we get to 3,000 subs, we're giving away a 2026 NFL Draft official cap. So make sure you subscribe, thumbs up, help to support the channel. Ryan Roberts here live at the Combine. Ryan, we talk about the Dolphins targets specifically. Give me some names you like at 43. We talk about 11. They go back there. And remember, this is a new regime. You look at 43 or even 75, 87, 90, those third round. Give me some names that you like that maybe we're not thinking of or just like at 43.
Yeah, I think 43 could be a sweet spot for one of those linebackers that we talked about, right? Like a Josiah Trotter, I think is a very interesting player, like somewhere in that range, probably 40 to 55-ish, 60, like somewhere in that ballpark. But I think safety especially is one that I look at and say, there's going to be guys there. And depending on where you go in the first rounds, I mean, cornerback board could be very advantageous as well, right? Is that a spot that you feel comfortable enough taking a D'Angelo Pons, despite him being a little bit of a size outlier out of Indiana? Do you like a Traden Stukes, who's a little bit of that nickel safety type that I really love in this class? Do you love him to that early? I mean, some people do. I know that there's at least one NFC South team right now that has a 2nd round grade on Traden Stukes. So Genesis Smith is a little bit divisive because he's not a great tackler out of Arizona, but he's a dynamic coverage safety, right? So so it really depends on where you go at 11. If you go at corner, I think safety, linebacker, interior offensive line could be an interesting one, wide receiver perhaps as well. But I really do think that if you decide to go a different spot at 11, 43 could be a really nice sweet spot at cornerback, right? Is Chris Johnson from San Diego State still there? Is D'Angelo Pons still there? Do you like a Julian Neal out of Arkansas as more of a press man, physical corner? There's a lot of options that I think will be available there, especially in the secondary.
I have a quick follow-up for a player that's like a cornerback, but I think could be safety in Keontae Scott, University of Miami. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah.
And just your overall thoughts about his versatility.
So I actually like him at safety better than I do at nickel, right? He was a outside corner early at Auburn, transitioned to nickel, then he was a nickel in his only year at Miami, right? So he's played almost exclusively in the slot. I think he's a tenacious dude, super physical, great blitzing off the slot. He does really impactful things in the run game. He's got a knack for being around the football, around the line of scrimmage. But I don't think he's a great coverage nickel, right? He's more of a zone-based dude than a man-to-man nickel. So I think there's some limitations there. At safety, I picture him as a guy that you're going to roll down and let him kind of roam a little bit, play some robber, play some mid-hole. I really do like him as a safety potentially on the next level. But the fact that he's played so much nickel gives him versatility, which is attractive, but I do think safety ultimately is the spot that I think Keontae Scott eventually kind of adopts and becomes a full-time player on the back end.
Speaking my language, I love it.
A couple of questions in the chat. Curious, Ryan, pre-combine thoughts on Nussmeier, where you project him to go?
So it's funny with the Garrett Nussmeier stuff because I've been fighting the good fight on Nussmeier for a long time now. I've never been a major fan of Nussmeier, and he was getting obviously first round hype midway through the 2024 season, and then this preseason they kind of came back a little bit. Look, guys, he's a talented thrower. I think he does throw with good anticipation a lot. I do think that he layers the football well to the intermediate part of the field, especially. So there's some redeeming qualities there. And he is a pretty tough player, even though he missed a few games down the stretch with the oblique. But he's pretty tough still. But he is 6'1". He's 202 to 204 pounds, somewhere in that ballpark. That's what he weighed in at the Senior Bowl. He's got sub 9-inch hands, and he's not a great athlete. There's just not a lot of redeeming qualities of traits. I think where he's viewed now is where he probably should have always been. He's a guy that maybe sneaks into the 3rd round, maybe goes 4th round, and he's a developmental mid-round option as a quarterback. That's what I see in Garrett Nussmeier.
Yeah. We'll put it in one. Mesidor and Zion Young, quickly, your range, you see them falling in.
Zion Young is a guy that's going to be in a lot of early second round mocks, but I'm telling you right now, if there's one of the surprise edges that ends up going late first rounds that we're not talking about enough, it's probably Zion Young, because while he's not a dynamic pass rusher and he's a little bit tight, I do think that he's maybe the best run defending defensive end in this class. So he's physical, 260 plus pounds, does a lot of the dirty work. I think he's going to go earlier than expected. Mesidor, I'm waiting and seeing on him, to be honest with you. I see the love out there. I see the first round mocks. I get it. I see it. I like Mesidor for what he is. I think I actually appreciate his game a lot. But I'm just telling you that there are some, I don't know if he's been red flagged medically, but if you look at his injury history, there's a lot there, man. A lot of troublesome things there. So I'm just kind of waiting in the weeds a little bit, seeing what the medicals look like before saying declaratively if he's going to be a first rounder or if he's going to slide a little bit. I think there's love for sure for the player around the league, but I'm just kind of waiting to get all the information before I really have a good range of where Mesidor is going to come off the board.
So we remiss. We had a Ruben Bain question. I know you got to get out of here soon. So how about this? Let's bring up our top 10 list. We can discuss it after Ryan leaves, but we'll give him get his thoughts on it. And Bain's on there, so we'll start with him. Let's bring that up here. So here's our watch list, right? Styles, Bain, Teneman, Freeland. Anybody stand out to you when you look at that? We'll start with Bain Jr. Look, the arm length is not ideal, right? To say the least, correct? I think today was 6'2", 263, 30-inch arms. In fact, I don't think we've ever seen an edge rusher drafted inside the top 100 with less than 31-inch arms. Put on the tape. You know what I mean? So your thought there first.
All right, so I'm going to ask you guys a question real quick, okay? Question answer.
Love it.
Since 1999, according to Mock Draftable, how many defensive ends, pass rushers with sub 31-inch arms do you think had a sack season of 8 sacks or more?
0.
Yeah, that's the list. It's 0, 100%. Yeah, guys, we're not talking about an outlier here. We're talking about a historical outlier. You know what I mean? Like, we're flashing like the comps to like Melvin Ingram's a guy I've seen a lot. Terrell Suggs is a guy I've seen a lot. But like even those guys are significantly longer than Ruben Bain. Like Ruben Bain is a very unique football player. So I think I appreciate Ruben Bain, though. I think I appreciate him to a high level. He is a very good run defender. He's physical, speed to power converter. But I am being very honest. I have concerns if he's going to be a high volume sack guy on the NFL level because of not the fact that he has short arms. It's that he has short arms and not great closing speed, in my opinion, either. Those two things together say, I think he's going to create a lot of pressure, but is he going to be able to finish plays, right? Like, is he going to be able to get the quarterback on the ground? And if I'm taking a guy in the top 5, I don't want guys that just create pressure. I want guys that get the quarterback on the ground. So, like, let's get him on the ground after pressuring him. So, like, that's my just pause with Bain. I think that there's love for him around the league, but I will tell you this for certain. There are going to be some teams that don't even have Ruben Bain on their draft board because there's going to be, you can call it archaic. I get it. Yeah. You can call it archaic, but there's going to be some people that say, I'm looking at these historical numbers, him turning into a good player. I'm not talking about an elite player. I'm talking about a good player. You are fighting against the deck of cards there, man. Like, it is not great odds in your favor ultimately. So I think he's going to end up being a good player. But do I think he's going to be a perennial Pro Bowler and a guy that is worthy of a top 5 pick in a vacuum? I don't, to be honest. So, yeah, that's kind of Bain for me.
It's fascinating, Ryan, because when I put on the tape of Bain, I like to watch guys.
Yeah.
He's strong. He's physical at the point. He controls blocks. He sets the edge. He combo blocks from tackles to tight ends. He hits blockers heavy-handed, man. He's kind of a tone setter. I think the key's going to be for him is he's got to win first with his hands. He's got to get there. If he does that, he's got a chance. The team is top 10. The measurement tells me to caution. Man, I'm fascinated with the decision. I am. I might do it at 11. I might. You know what I mean? Oh,
I think 11's fine in them. I think 11. I think 11's fine in this class. Like if he somehow slid to 11, I have no issues with that. My push is more top 5 Ruben Bain, right? Like a top 5 draft pick. If you want a guy that is for sure going to be able to create pressure and be a really good run defender, I think Ruben Bain is going to be a good player on the NFL level. Again, I'm just talking about in a vacuum in the top 5, just a little rich for my blood.
Yeah. Sonny settled the break here. Are you in at 11 for Ruben Payne?
I like what Ryan said. And if you're the Miami Dolphins and you're looking for the best player available with upside at 11 who might fall down the board, there's maybe one or two players. Maybe if Mauigoa is still there, I'd choose the offensive line over him.
Sure.
But if Bain is there at 11, my God, it would be really tough to pass on.
Yeah, it's a fascinating. He's going to be great though, no matter where he goes to follow his career. All right, I know you got to get here. Anybody on this list stand out to you that you like? You want to comment on before we let you go?
I already talked a ton about Chris Johnson. That's my guy. Dylan Thieneman said on the media availability today that he's going to run the 4.3s. So I guess I'll leave you that for you guys. He's going to be a historical tester according to himself. So we'll see if he comes through on it or not.
We had a question. What are we having on the menu tonight? What are we watching down there, Ryan, at St. Elmo's? Right? What do you go to?
I'm a whiskey guy, so I mean, washing it down with. So I'm a whiskey guy. I'm not really a beer drinker, so I'm just going to probably get some Jameson on the rocks. And you know, I'm a little bit split on what type of steak I'm going to get tonight. I got a ribeye last night, so I might go New York strip. I'm not really 100% sure yet. So
can't go wrong there, right?
So I really don't like shrimp cocktail, to be honest. So I might not get the shrimp. I know, yeah, I know. I'm not really a shrimp guy, but trust me, there will be a lot of steak and mashed potatoes and asparagus eaten tonight, without question.
Enjoy.
Thanks, everybody says thanks, Ryan. Love you. Hear your thoughts here. We're gonna stick around. We're gonna go through the list, but we're gonna get Ryan real quick. If you hear any Anthony Richardson to Miami,
oh my God,
please let me. You have to get me, right? I think it's low risk. I'm willing to take the shot.
I will. I mean, what possibly could it be worth, right? Like a late day 3 pick at this point, right? So I don't have anything against any team that takes that swing because, I mean, are you really going to get upset over a 6th round pick that you traded for Anthony Richardson in a couple years? I don't know.
Would you rather have Cole Payton or Anthony Richardson? You know what I mean?
Right,
I like Cole Payton. All right, Ryan, thanks so much, man. Before you go, quickly, where do they find you? What are you doing? Where can they find your stuff in the combine you're working? And by the way, great name on your podcast, BPA.
Man. Yep. Yeah. If you guys want to go to YouTube, Best Pod Available is where you can find the content. We'll be doing reaction stuff every single day. A to Z Sports is the website that I write for if you want some instant reactions to a bunch of the combine stuff, or if you're an NFL or a college football fan, or you can just follow me at Rise and Draft, where I post all my content and content dump. And we'll have for the pressers over the next couple of days, some instant reaction stuff. So make sure to follow at Rise and Draft.
Yeah, Ryan, I heard people have high alcohol tolerance during these times. So yeah,
dude, I'm a father of 2, and this week always puts me through the ringer in terms of lack of sleep. But lack of sleep and alcohol together, we'll be okay. We'll figure it out.
Let's do it before or after the draft. Let's do it again. And take care, man. Have a good time. Enjoy it, and we'll talk to you next time. Thank you,
Ryan.
Sounds good, guys. Have a good night.
Right,
you do enjoy it.
That was Ryan Roberts, A to Z Sports. He's in it. Everybody chat. Try to get most of your questions. Ryan was on limited time. But I wanted to bring up the list so he can take a look and kind of evaluate. What do you guys think? I'll tell you what, Jason and I debated this. It's very hard to put together just 10 names. These are guys, not that we think are going to have the best workouts, but guys have something to prove it could affect where the Dolphins, where they're drafting, for example. And we start with Sonny Styles. Unbelievable testing. I mean, this was done before Sonny Styles worked out, but we might not be looking at him at 11 anymore. He jumped 43.5 inches. You first of all, we need to call the Miami Heat. Do we need a 2-guard or a small forward?
Hey, let me tell you, man. Go Google or YouTube Sonny Styles hooping. All right. I love my football, basketball crossovers, no pun intended. But I'll tell you, you see this dude go above the rim, he can play ball. So I mean, he might have earned himself a top 8 pick tonight. So
yeah, I wasn't surprised how he worked out. 4.47. We need to put a map. Yeah, we need to get. Yeah, that might be the only shot here. You never know though. The position value, we talked about it last show, could drop. I'll let you take another one on the list. Go ahead, Jason. Give me a guy.
Chris Johnson is my guy. I mean, I loved what Ryan had to say. Where if and I understand the best player available may just be the choice of 1 or 2 cornerbacks in Delane or McCoy. But if the Dolphins want to build from the inside out, if they want to go with a lineman, if they want to go with offensive lineman, that's great.
Yeah.
Second round, I'm screaming for Chris Johnson. 100% at 43 if he lasts there.
Why I like him on this list, Jason, is we talked about it. He's an outside technician corner. When I watch him, he's like very comfortable. He can play zone. He's good in tight man situations. Like he fits Halfley. He mirrors well. But the big question to me is the long speed, Jason. Sometimes I get when he gets beat early in recovery speed, looks average to me. But that's a concern. I think he'll do good against big receivers, tight ends. But to be a full outside corner in the ceiling, I need to see the long speed. So the vertical speed, I think I picked 43. I think he's a real option, especially for this team. I want to see him run. Like if he runs if it's 4.47, it's fine. Like you know what I mean? If it's 4.44, I think with him, he's not going to change a lot, but it'll just put that what the combine is made for, just to confirm some of the things I want to check in the box. He's one of them, and if he runs at a really good speed, he's a real option at 43. And to be honest, Jason, he might not be there at 43. You know what I mean? So
he may not. I mean, if you heard what Ryan was saying, sure. And looking at the rest of the players on this particular list, it's not the top 10 players in the draft, according to us. It's not every round that the Dolphins are going to get one of these guys. It's guys that we're interested to see how they perform in the combine. That's not to say that Monroe Freeling is going to be a top 10 pick or a second-round bust. It's just to say it would be interesting to see how a 6'7" lineman performs.
We're trying to put what we see on tape.
Right.
We're verified here.
That's it.
It's not, you don't base it on the combine. If you're doing that, you shouldn't do a show.
A guy like Ted Hurst could move from a mid-third rounder to – and he could have – you know who Ted Hurst could remind me of in terms of the elevation?
Yeah.
You know who my guy was last year?
Nico?
No, his teammate.
I forget.
Jaden.
Yeah, they both went to the Texans, right?
Of course.
I want to address Monroe Freeling because he's somebody I really, I've liked him for a while. And my favorite part of this process, Jason, is when I start evaluating players. I like to go into the tape, right? So when I evaluate him, I usually come out with a guy that I really like. He's one of them. Keep an eye on him. Remember, this guy's 6'7", 315. He's one of the best pure athletes among the offensive linemen that are in Indianapolis right now. And when you watch him on film, how smooth he is for a player with this size, the transition, the footwork, the way he mirrors. He's just a natural athlete to move for a basketball player. Now, the workout is big because if he tests the way people expect him to, strong 40 and 10-yard split. Remember, 10-yard split for an offensive lineman is as important. Clean in the shuttle numbers, he's going to climb, Jason. Teams love big movement combination at tackle. The real question is, could he push himself in the conversation? Like, I'm not saying you'd be a Dolphins target at 11, but if you're looking at offensive line, he's one of these guys you heard during the draft. Oh, he's somebody they're considering. Remember Gray Zabel, right? Everybody was considering that. That would have been a fine pick. He could be that kind of mover. And I think in league circles, they're a lot higher. And it's fun for me when I watch somebody and then all of a sudden I start hearing the same things. That's a cool moment for me, right? Earlier in his career, you could put him at right tackle. I'm just saying he's one of these guys that I think can move up. Watch him, keep an eye on him.
Absolutely. And just to go back to deconstructing this list, a couple of asterisks to it. John Eric Sullivan said that the Dolphins could entertain trading down. So if they do trade down in the 20s, obviously a guy like a Freeland, a guy like an Iowane, those are targets. If they, move back further and further in terms of trading a second round pick, you move back, you require more picks. A guy like a Ted Hurst is there. And, it's just a matter of not saying that these guys are targets at 11, right? It's just intriguing guys that we're looking at. And this CCRR, a linebacker at 11, I think Sonny Styles is a top 8 pick. And I don't think he gets past Cincinnati. I don't think the Dolphins are going to have a chance
He's
to
not
get
just
him.
a linebacker. He's a rare athlete.
And he used to play safety.
He can do a lot of things. But
right.
let's stick with Ted Hurst.
Sure what we're,
Let's stick with Ted Hurst. All right. Most fans, general draft fans, don't know the name Ted Hurst, probably, right?
Right.
I think they should learn it because he had an outstanding week at the Senior Bowl. He proved he can handle the jump. Like, remember, if he had an Alabama helmet on or a University of Miami helmet on, good boy. He's 6'3", 207. Looks like.
Don't look at the helmet. Don't look at the helmet. Look at the player.
He fits that Green Bay style, right? They're looking for big receivers. He has the build for an outside. He's a big play guy, right? He stretches vertically. Nobody, the stat I brought up with him, nobody in FBS had more catches of 20-plus yards over the past 2 seasons. Now, the Combine's going to be huge for him. He's not going to break the Combine record. He's not a 4.3, but if he runs, let's say something in the low 4.4s or even high 4.3, 8 or something like that, that's going to validate the vertical speed on tape at that size. And he already showed he can separate a little bit in against competition, higher competition at the Senior Bowl. If the testing confirms it, don't be surprised. This guy goes higher in day than you think. I'm a big fan of his, Jason.
I'm gonna go a little bit of a different way.
Okay.
I mean, if I think he runs like a 4.49,
that's fine.
That's you know what? That's fine. Exactly. Because that
Yeah.
pushes him a little bit down the board.
Yeah.
And if I'm looking at the Miami Dolphins, and you're gonna kill me with this, the priority of need.
It's okay. That show's over with. That was only.
Hey, thank God. No, it was fun, everybody.
Yeah,
You didn't see our show last week or earlier this week.
Make sure you
Check
see
it
me
out.
and Jason.
But,
it's one of the few times you're going to see me and Jason go at it.
We were heated. But look, if the Dolphins could land a guy like Hurts at the third round pick, or one of those third round picks, but because I think they have 3 or 4 more prioritized positions. But if they can make Hurst one of those last third round picks, if it's the third round pick, I think it's a massive home run because you could literally go, yes, you know it, Robert, BPAON, but making a thing. They could go trenches, double up on the trenches with an offensive lineman and, a defensive lineman or an edge rusher.
Yeah.
They can get the cornerback. They can get a safety. And then they can check the box off of a big X-style wide receiver, which Hurst would absolutely be. Now, if he surprises and goes 4.44, which I think is a little bit out of his range, if he blows up the 40, people are going to start really maybe overvaluing him, and I think the Dolphins might have to overplay for him, or someone else will get him first.
But if he runs 4.48, 4.49, that's fine.
That's where I see it.
Yeah, that's probably more likely. But I'm just saying, if all of a sudden we see 4.41, 4.39, okay.
Jaden Higgins, it's going up. Like not all people think Higgins is going to go.
Obviously, Ty Simpson, but Ty Simpson, I don't expect to see in short to short anything that's going to change my opinion on him. I mean, he needs a big weekend. I like that he's running. I would like to see how fast he is. But these other guys are more of where I think they'll take a quarterback, right? Green, let's start with Taylor Green, then you can touch on Alar. Taylor Green, to me, obviously we've talked about him for a while. And the thing with Taylor is this is the situation where he needs to shine, right? Like he's a 6'6", 224-pound big arm guy that can push you vertically. He's a running threat. I think he had like 35 career touchdowns. So it's real to do dual threat. But the issue is consistency. You saw it at the Senior Bowl. The accuracy's up, it's down. This workout is big for him. He needs to run well. Like he needs to confirm the athleticism, right? And more importantly, he needs to throw. This is the kind of setting where he needs to show his arm and throw with precision. You can't be missing these high-low in a scripted setting. You got to hit it. The mechanics got to be controlled. Ball placement. I think it's a big weekend for him. He can really show if he shows the athleticism. And we're talking day 3. But look, I think the Dolphins are leaning more to athleticism in that position, and there's not many. Or you can just trade for Anthony Richardson, whatever you want. Go ahead.
You can do both. I mean, to tell you the truth, if it's talking about, why not? Why not both? I mean, if you're going to trade a 6th-round pick for Anthony Richardson, I get it. Do you want to use that 5th-round pick or earlier to get another quarterback? Perhaps not. Will an Alar or a Green last into the 7th? Probably not. But for a guy like an Alar, will the ankle be okay? I think it probably will be. It'll be very interesting to see how he throws, to see how that arm's looking. Yeah. But fact is, tall, mobile, Midwest kind of kid. Obviously, from Ohio, played in Penn State, so he's kind of cold weather tested, which is something that the Dolphins, that would be nice, for a quarterback. So, this is not the franchise quarterback draft for the Miami Dolphins. This is a fill the room off season for the Dolphins. So I'm interested in seeing how Green and Alar play and look, but I'm not ready to pound the table to make them Quinn Ewers competition to maybe be the franchise quarterback. That's next year. I think this draft is fill the roster with talented football players. And if you're talking day 3 and a quarterback is just falling on your lap, sure.
That's a great question by Robert. Shout out to the chat again. Make sure you guys, again, I mentioned again, we're giving away the draft cap when we get to 3K before the draft. We get there. Even if we probably get close, I'll still do it. But make sure you subscribe, help us out, like the video. It helps to spread it and share it and help us keep going here. We got plenty of great stuff lined up. We appreciate all the support. Lots of talk of risers. Who do you think could drop? We talked about Bain. Bain could go from 5 to 11, or something like that. I'm trying to think of other guys in my head here. Like, all right, I love Jared McCoy, right? He was on but the medicals, we don't have him on the list. But I'm going to tell you, more important, the medicals that happened this weekend and the interviews are just as important. He's a guy.
George, look what happened last year with Will Johnson, your boy.
Yeah.
Look what happened.
Man, McCoy's tape is unbelievable in 2020.
It's so good.
It's so good. And if you ask me who's the leader in the clubhouse for the Dolphins, it's Delane. But I don't know if he even gets there. Like, I'm not sure. You know what I mean? 11. So, at 11. Let's do another PPA draft right now.
Jordan, I don't know if I can take that right now.
So Jordan,
I don't know.
I'm not letting that cat out of the bag or the hat or whatever this saying is. I propose another. These scenario drafts I like. I think it makes us different. We're going to have our pure ones that me and Jason are going to make sure we get the great draft and pound it and get the best guys we think are there for the Dolphins. BPAON or whatever Jason likes to call it, right?
BPAON.
But I propose another scenario draft. We'll see if it gets off the table. We don't know yet, right? We don't know yet. But Sanders will post some board for the big drop. Yeah. So anybody else? Who do we? You talk about Vega, right? I'm not even going to attempt to do the name.
I don't think he's going to drop.
No. I'm basically going off the list with
okay.
Vega's one of the safest players to me in the draft. The more I watched him, I read somewhere and somebody described it. It's the best thing I heard. He's a mauler with ballerina feet. Mm-hmm. Best thing I heard. I read it somewhere. I wish I could give the guy credit, but the way he finishes blocks, he's also really good in pass pro. I want to see him run. Like, this is a guy you consider. Like, he's not too far off the 11 range. Let's be, Jason, like, we talk about, it's not, he could be in that 10 to 15 range. Where did Tyler Booker go last year, if I'm not mistaken? Right? Nobody had him this high. Remember the Dallas? Did he go?
Went to Dallas. He went to like 15, 16, I think.
What was our pick? I think he went
13.
12.
Oh, he went 12. He went 12.
Right.
Okay, that's right.
So, look, a ballerina mauler. Yeah, so I'm just saying he's the kind of guy. I'm curious to see what he looks like athletically. The movement test for offensive linemen is not as much. It's the 10-yard, but if the testing matches the film, he's absolutely the top 15 conversation, no doubt. Like, that's that. I'm letting everybody know that right now, Sonny. Like, he's in that conversation.
I'm with you there. Now, here's the thing. Now, if there's a couple of players that are off the board, like Caleb,
like the corners are gone,
Sonny Styles, Malagoa, corners are gone. Now, if the draft, let's say these wide receivers drop, they're not, Tate's available, Lemon's still there, and like players get picked a little bit higher than maybe. I think that if those top 2 or 3 players that the Dolphins would run the ticket up at 11, like a Styles, like a Downs, like an offensive lineman like Fano or Malagoa, if the Dolphins trade down, the sweet spot to me would be looking at like Tampa Bay, Detroit, Carolina, to get into like the 15 to 19 range.
Look at teams that are trying to make that move.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. Carolina's a perfect devil. Teams are looking to make that move.
Like let's say hypothetically, like Carolina moves up to draft a receiver to pair next to Tet or a tight end in Sadiq.
Tate Falls,
something.
Dyson.
You know what I mean? Like if the Dolphins could move to 19, and look at the last 2 names on our board here on the left side and the right side, Ioane and Falk. I don't think that Falk will last to 19, but if you trade to 19, pick up, whatever that would be from Carolina, hypothetically, pick up the 50th pick, pick up maybe, an extra 5th in addition to that, and you draft Ioane at 19, if you land Keldrick Falk at 19, I mean, we're
Freeland, you put him at right tackle?
Sure. Yeah. I'm not going to discount that, but right, that's the mindset. Some of these guys that might be too rich for 11, But then if you're able to get a luxury added pick in the top 50 or top 60, that's when you could really have some fun with, you know what? All right, Max Ihenacho. You know, if we already go Ioane on the right guard, we're going to get a right tackle. We're going to solidify, you know, the right side for three to 5 years without even thinking. You know what I mean?
There's a lot of teams when I look at 15 to 22 that are in that boat. That, it's a draft where you can move up. They might specifically need a Malachi Lemon, or who knows who falls, or maybe even the guy we think that we would take falls, and we'd rather have more picks because we think the tier is not as drastic. We'd rather have this guy and this guy, Falk and this guy, instead of Delane's gone and you got to take McCoy or so. We'd rather come back and get a Brandon Cease who runs out of he's another guy like he runs 4.35, jumps 40 inches in the workout, and his film is good because you see that explosiveness on film. We'll go back to 23, take him, and we pick up another second-round pick. So, you know what I mean? So that's how it could work, right? The tiers might not be different. So that's another thing. We keep talking about these names. Like, let me put an example. Mauyga, right? If you believe he's a guard, I'm going to tell you, Vega at guard right now, not much difference. There's not much difference, if anything, because we're projecting. The only reason Mauyga is higher is because the tackle projection, the right tackle projection. So,
well, I think he's a tackle. I think he's going to remain a tackle.
But if you're projecting him inside, because some people, I wouldn't. I leave him at tackle. I don't like moving guys around. I think he can play tackle. He showed you a tackle. But you talk about some guys who can drop. I think he's one of them, Jason. I really do. I think it's a real legitimate shot. He's there at 11. You know what I mean? So, anyways, anybody else on this list that we haven't touched? We took Vega, Falk, Drew Allar. What are you looking for? What do you want to see? Should be a chance for him to shine.
Yeah, I really want to see his deep ball ability. I want to see how he looks. I mean, he's kind of advertised as like an effortless thrower, you know, very smooth. And to me, everything kind of looks good on what you're looking for in the type of quarterback, as I mentioned before: size, mobility, potential big arm, cold weather, you know, ability. Yeah. So yeah, I'm intrigued with him. And again, if it's after the first 5 picks, if the Dolphins are looking at him, you know, in that 111, okay. Yeah. Okay, sure.
It starts for me. That's coming next. We did the Ty Simpson one, the Drew Allar. I promise I'll get it out. I'm busy. I'll get out the all 22, and it's a fascinating. Also, it's a Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing because you look at him, and you're looking at a guy who reads defense, is smart, big arm, understands his IQ, and you're like, what's wrong here? But then you watch the footwork, the mechanics just aren't aligned. If you can fix that, this guy is top 10 ability. There's some Justin Herbert there throwing the football, right? And that's what's fascinating about him. So he's going to be interesting. I want to see the footwork. I want to see it scripted. He should shine. You know, Ty Simpson's going to – I like that Ty Simpson's doing everything. We also like Cole Payton. But let's talk about some guys that we don't have on the list because we could have put 40 guys on here. Some guys we will I'll throw a couple of names out, Jason, and then you can throw a couple out. Gold Bay already worked out. I was eager to see him. Brazil, the wide receiver out of Tennessee. Length, vertical juice. Let's see if he runs 4.45. I expect him in that range. Tacario Davis is another guy. I want to see the 6'4" corner, how he runs. But the guy there's 2 corners I'm looking at. You know I love Devin Moore. I think if Devin Moore runs anywhere in the 4.3s, we don't have a shot at him at 75. I think he's going to rise because I told you I watched him. 6'3" corner, length, stays on top of routes, fluid. I'm like, where am I going here? I saw him 4th round. Like, are we really doing this? Maybe, but what I see, I don't know. So he's the guy I'm interested to see how he runs. I told you, Brandon Cece, the South Carolina, he's one of the most explosive defensive backs. When you turn on the tape, his burst just jumps. The closing speed, the ability to drive to the football, the way he transitions, it's just a beautiful thing to watch. So if he blows up the combine, you talked about trade back, and we talked about it. One of those things, he's an option. How about you, Jason? Who are some of the guys you're looking forward to seeing?
I'm looking for a physical safety, strong safety type of a player, Emmanuel McNeil Warren. I think he might even look. I was banging the table for Nick Emanwari last year.
I mean, first round pick. Yeah,
he is. Yeah, sure. But again, if the Dolphins entertain trading back, and I know you referenced in our behind the scenes that you would like to do a mock draft with maybe the Dolphins moving back up into.
Are you confirming that?
I'm not confirming it. I'm teasing it. I'm teasing it.
Okay. I was going to say, should we ask the chat?
You could ask the chat.
Chat, we're thinking about doing not one, but what's the scenario we can have 2 first-round picks by trading back, picking up assets and moving up and late in the first and getting another one? Because maybe the depth we like, we want to get 2 guys in round 1. So we're thinking about putting that to the test. You can comment in the comment section below after the replay and let us know. But
George tossed that out before we went live, and I was like, "Oh boy, here we go." But the more that I think about it now,
like it, Sonny.
The reason why I like it, I've always wanted a Miami general manager to be kind of the bully at the poker table, and I thought that Chris Greer neglected that potential in 2020 with 3 first-round picks, where you could have moved, one of those first-round picks up to right behind Tua and get him, Tristan Wirfs or above, you know what I'm saying? Or move the 3rd-round pick and go up and get, the best wide receiver you can get. You got a point there, right there. But
I'm just trying to make Jason throw again. And these drafts, I kind of take the heat for it, but these drafts are nothing that I would do. Like these scenarios, we just stick to the scenarios, right? I might do it. But that's what's fun.
I'll tell you, Robert, I might dance on the table if it works out the right way. But in this kind of scenario, the reason why I would love a general manager, a first-time general manager like a John Eric Sullivan to do that in this particular year, if he would be a guy that gets a 20th pick and then jumps back in with the 32nd pick and get 2 fifth-year option potential franchise helping players in a trench, a defensive back, 2 trenches, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I know it's not the end-all, be-all with a 5th-year option, but think about what that could do with getting that extra year of contract ownership. So it would be interesting. It would be interesting. Yeah. But we'd have to see how the board falls.
Yeah. It's fun. It makes it fun for you guys, too. We're going to have plenty of drafts because you guys like the mock drafts. You like us, too. We're going to have plenty of just the basic ones, like the mock draft 2.0, 3.0. But the scenario ones are fun.
We got 2 months left. We got
2 months. So
time left.
The scenario ones are fun. I think it's something that kind of makes us, I enjoy it. And it gets heated. You know what I mean? That's what it's about. We'll flip some tables. I want an Emmett Johnson. You know what? Emmett Johnson, I'm mad at myself last show because I'm a big Emmett Johnson fan. He's one I'm looking at the combine. We're going to look back. Also, we're going to keep track of Deion Burks. How long he does in the NFL.
Oh, God, stop. But I got another name. I got another name. Yeah. We're going to go. I don't think we've talked at all about the tight end position. I got a guy. I got a guy, Michael Trigg, out of Baylor. All right? I like what this kid can do with his there's a theme with me, folks. I mean, I love the
big receivers and basketball guys is what you
like. Big receivers, basketball. I mean, look, it's the route running. It's his ability to maybe be a red zone threat.
What's my thing? Linebackers? Is that my thing? I love second round linebackers.
Yes, you do. But and I'll take another shot. Max, I had a choice going to be a late first round.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a late first round.
We initially had him on the list. But we wanted to add a few guys. He's a guy who's
I don't care if Trigg isn't blocking anyone. I'll tell you the honest to goodness truth.
Yeah. Oscar Delp.
I agree with you. Yeah. I don't care.
Yeah. I'm not
I want weapons. All right. If you look at the amount of talented pass catching tight ends in this league, I want one. Yeah. All right. Like I was screaming for a guy like Tucker Kraft a couple of years ago. You know what I'm saying? And look, there's a couple of the tight ends that I like him, Justin Jolly and Max Clare, sure, but Trigg intrigues me.
Yeah, I like Trigg.
See what I did there?
Yeah, intrigue. I like Eli Stowers. Delp, I think the Georgia tight end is going to run really well. The Georgia Delp, I think is his name, Oscar Delp.
Yep.
the Georgia tight end. He's going to run really well.
He's tall, 6'5".
Yeah. Trig is good. There's a good tight end class.
Listen, I'll tell you what, CCR, I would be more concerned over character issues than I would about blocking. And to Jordan's point, blocking was a McDaniel thing. You know, if you want to Julian Hill, keep him around, make him your blocking tight end, absolutely fine with that. You know, you need a guy who can be a Darren Waller type target. You don't expect Darren Waller back. You know, don't expect Darren Waller back. And he's a veteran. He's over. You know, give me a young guy who could be that vertical seam, stretch down the field, red zone threat, 6'4" and above, target. The Dolphins have one target not named Devon Achane.
99, great name. I believe we could have drafted him instead of Cole Payton in our BPA.
Oh, okay.
Draft. Great name. Big kid. Good job. By the way, 99, I love your draft stuff on Twitter.
Yeah, oh, dude, more of that. Keep it going.
Great stuff. You know, and somebody mentioned Devin Moore's injury. Yeah, he was injured in 24, completely healthy last year. It was fantastic. Dayon. So make sure everybody, you guys are subscribed to the channel. Make sure you're giving us thumbs up. We'll be back. This was a fun show. We're going to do more stuff. Thanks to Ryan Roberts, live from the Combine.
Oh, awesome.
Great insight. Hope maybe next year we're there, Jason. Who knows?
I'll tell you what, as Ryan is sitting down at his table probably right now, I'm going to give you credit for pounding the table, setting the table, making the table, bringing food to the table for this Anthony Richardson stuff. I'm going to go, everyone out there, today has been an Anthony Richardson day. Oh, the Dolphins should trade for him. Oh, maybe too. George has been banging this table for weeks.
Months.
Like months. No.
Literally.
Since last calendar year, since literally December of 2025, he's been begging for this. And I don't know if Tua is connected to it. George has a scenario where it is. And I'll tell you, man, if this happens, if the Dolphins, one way or the other, you were first at it.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it from anyone. That's all you.
Yeah. And listen, here's the other thing about Anthony Richardson. This is not a guy I think is going to come save the franchise. It's the flyer.
It's a room. You got to get someone else in the room.
Yeah. Yes. Get someone else. And he said it himself, John Eric Sullivan. Thank you, Jordan.
100%.
Fun show, more mock drafts, please. Shit. We got you. We're going to give you guys what you want. We have fun doing it. And we have fun. Honestly, these last few months has been a tremendous growth for the channel. Thank you guys.
Yeah,
honestly.
For sure.
You guys show up. We appreciate it. And you guys notice the hard work that's put in. And I can't thank you guys enough. I really can't. This is what makes it doing is fun, is coming on and seeing the same names. We appreciate it.
For sure.
AR is almost as fast. Yeah, but if it's a low cost, low risk, he wasn't the fourth pick overall not too long ago. There's nobody in this draft with the physical traits that Anthony Richardson has. Again, it's an opportunity cost shot. That's it. If it's a day 3 pick, or 2 involved or not, I would be into it.
Low risk, high reward. Or low risk, no problem.
And you know, the Vikings have interest. Who knows? You know,
well, the Vikings could make a lot of sense.
Most likely we won't get them, right? Yeah. But like if we do, it's cool. Like, but I still like the scenario. I'm glad we had forward thinking on it and kind of, you know, mentioned it. And it's cool. I appreciate you guys. All right. So until next time, guys. Thank you, everybody. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're gonna give away that hat. Make sure you like this video. Please comment after the show on the video what you like, what you didn't like. Some of the guys on our list, add some names. Comment on the video section below. So for Jason Sarney, for myself, guys, stay fit and faithful. Have a great night. Thank you guys. Until next time, we're out.
Good night.